Hey, how are you? Welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Let's take a look. Current blood sugar is 6.3. Not going to spend an awful long time on this today, as I just did the previous video. Been pretty stable. It came down here showing 5.9 earlier. I'm up around 6.3 down. Have calibrated now. Before I didn't calibrate, and it had gone into the warning symbols. Blood sugar overall, it got up a bit. I'm 80% time and range now. This has dropped, and you gotta remember, this is the last 24 hours. So, above is 20, in range. Now, for people who are trying to control their blood sugar and using the Medtronic system, and I think anywhere, time and range now, they are aiming for 70%. So, 80% is still good. It's not the super best, but it's still good. Average blood sugar is 8.5. This is sitting at 8. Looks pretty damn good. Not a superstar day. I didn't really eat last night. I ate some dinner and then I was out of it. I don't even really remember taking medication. I don't think I'd be told by my night worker here. I zogged out at 7. Today, I want to talk to you about leaving your CGM in too long. I'll be right back and we'll get started. This channel is provided for informational purposes only. Contact your physician for any diagnostic or treatment plan. Okay, CGM is wonderful. It is pricey though, I will tell you that. Doesn't matter if it's this, if it's Dexcom, it's all pretty pricey. So people are going to try to extend the wear. Now, Medtronic's sensors currently are at a 7-day lifespan. Dexcom, I believe, is at 10. For me, not making any excuses, the 7 days works well. That way I can remember every week I have to change it. I know people are going for the ideal time where they'll never have to change it. There is sensor ever more or ever less sensors that allow every 6 months and it's placed under the skin. That's something down the road. Right now, the sensors, we deal with what we have. Actually, I don't think the Everless is in Canada. Maybe worth taking a look for. CGM only works for 7 days. Once you put your sensor in, it starts the timer. Oh, sorry, itchy eye. And the timer starts marking down. You can really, some people say, well, you just, before it gets right to the very end, you set it as a new sensor, but they don't last that much longer. And all that time that it takes you, you can switch over very quickly. Well, you can always get syringes. You can always get insulin. You can always get test strips. Not all drugstores carry the sensors. A lot do, but not every drugstore. It's not a total part of what they carry. It can be if you're dealing with a larger drugstore. I was dealing with Shoppers and always got it because I used to have to get it through pharmacare. Now, the pump company can automatically build pharmacare. What a night or day. I just have to order it a bit sooner and it'll get here in time and will be Bob's, your uncle. I'll tell you how it goes. Just waiting on delivery, so haven't tried this before, but we'll see. But we're here talking about the CGM. The sensors yourselves, once you put it in, I'll say 7 days is the limit. If you do come up with a system of extending it, that's great. There is a problem at the sites. If you keep anything, whether it be the tubing in your system or the sensors, your body will start to, I'll use the word reject. I don't know if it actually rejects or it starts irritating the skin, and it can get quite sore. And out of that, infection could grow. And if infection grows, you're in a whole different ballpark. I've had a doctor who said if a site gets sore, just change the site, whether it be CGM or your regular insulin pump, change the site out and put polysporin on the... I've gone through where I haven't really put polysporin on it, and once the sensor or the tubing is out, it heals up pretty quick for myself. But for those of you who need something to help and make sure that no infection gets in, polysporin or antibiotic ointment seems to work. And they just heal up pretty quick. And Bob's your uncle. I don't necessarily go for pushing things as far as they go. Not changing your tubing doesn't really work. I titled this video CGMs, but it's anything you stick into your body to help you monitor or give insulin. There we go. I've done a video a long time ago, about reusing your syringes, so you could go take a look at that. If I can find it, I'll post it. But you want to ensure that your sensors and that are up to date. You'll feel better about it. You'll get accurate insulin readings. So don't count that you can extend your sensors indefinitely. If you just keep doing that, it'll work all the time. It won't work all the time. The site will get irritated. The sensor will stop giving you correct data. I have tried pushing the sensor before, I won't lie, and I was getting weird numbers, higher or lower to what the glucometer read. Okay? I finally pulled it out, put a new sensor in. I was bang on. So the sensors aren't always gonna read correct the longer you keep them in. Pure and simple. Don't push to be so righteous and say, oh yes, see, they're just lying to sell more. Well, I can't say anything upon that, but I do know leaving your sensors, CGM, your pump in longer than they suggest is a good reason to follow the guidelines. But I don't have money to keep buying sensors. Well, sensors may not be for everyone. Myself, I went through a lot to get a sensor. I utilized the sensors, CGM, religiously. Because I can remember what my life was like before them. And some people think of the pumps and the CGMs as machines. And I think you don't necessarily respect them. You really have to respect your pump. Now, your pump, true, it is a machine, but it's so much more. I haven't gained tight control as I've got with this. Are my blood sugars still totally perfect? No. But the pump has helped. The CGM has helped. So now I always make sure that when the CGM says to change it, I change it. When insulin runs out, I change the tubing. There's thing where if going back to syringes, if you started using syringes long enough, like reusing them, the markings inside start to wear down. It's the same for this. Eventually you could have reservoirs with no markings. And how are you going to know how much insulin is left? You can't. So, keeping your blood sugars stable, you need proper equipment. And proper equipment is changing the tubing every 3. You could possibly stretch it to 4. But then you need to change it. For CGMs, it's 7 days. After 7 days, throw it out. CGMs can also stop working. You could knock it out. You could calibrate wrong twice, and it'll say change sensor. So right now, it is, as of taping, it is now Thursday morning. I won't have to change this to Sunday. But if something happens today that I do need to change the CGM, my change day changes. It'll be every Thursday from then on. It does take a lot to make these little sensors. That's why they're quite a bit up there. You want to ensure you treat your pump, your CGM, your tubing with respect. Pushing them beyond their life expectancy, you're going to cause irritation. You're not going to get the true response of what your blood sugars were. And then those are the first people that are going to say, oh, my numbers aren't correct. Oh, CGMs don't work. What I'm saying is follow the guidelines, especially if you're new to the pumps. Oh, I just went into a sneezy fit. Oh. But life with your pumps can be wonderful if you follow the rules. Doesn't matter what the manufacturer is. DC or Dexcom has guidelines to use. Medtronic has guidelines to use. Everyone wants the perfect system that works on their line. Don't fall for, oh, it doesn't work. Well, take a look. Are you doing everything correctly? I know the last time I had to change my sensor out, it was this guy. And this guy set 2 different calibrations. So the sensors, if they're treated, followed the guidelines, work wonderful. If you try playing around with things, that's when you're going to have issues. Don't leave them in too long. You're going to cause irritation, which could cause infection. And that's one thing we don't need as type 1 diabetics. And with that, have a super day. We'll talk later. Bye now. My email is mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com. mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com.